In a rural village in China during the late 1990s, Tang was a highly respected carpenter, known for his excellent skills. The villagers trusted him completely. He had worked hard for many years and gained a reputation for being both skilled and honest. However, in the same village, there was another man, Old Wang, who was infamous for his ruthless behavior. He was a notorious bully, controlling several local vegetable markets with an iron fist. His reputation for cruelty and dishonesty spread far and wide, and no one in the village dared to oppose him. One day, Old Wang approached Tang with a plan. He wanted Tang to build a grand mansion for him, a house that would show off his wealth and power. When Old Wang arrived at Tang's house, he wore a smile, but it was clear he was calculating something. "Tang, I've heard about your skills. I want you to build me a house that will be the biggest and most beautiful in the village," Old Wang said confidently. Tang, knowing Old Wang's fearsome reputation, hesitated but felt he had no choice. Refusing Old Wang could bring trouble. "All right, I'll do it," Tang agreed, though he was uneasy inside. The project started, and at first, everything went well. Tang and his team of workers quickly began building the house. Within just a few days, the walls were already up to half the height of a person. Everyone worked hard, eager to complete the project on time. However, it didn't take long for problems to surface. According to local customs, the homeowner should provide workers with food, water, and cigarettes while they were working. The meals didn't have to be fancy, but they had to include meat and fresh vegetables to keep the workers strong. But Old Wang, despite being rich, refused to provide even basic supplies. The workers received stale vegetables and water only occasionally, and cigarettes were completely out of the question. "Boss, we're barely making it through the day. We haven't even had water today," one of the workers complained to Tang as they sat exhausted during a break. Tang sighed heavily. "I know, but Old Wang doesn't care about us. We'll just have to keep going, or we won't get paid." The workers' spirits began to drop. Their energy was low, and some even fell sick from the poor food and lack of water. Old Wang, instead of showing sympathy, would sometimes visit the construction site to mock the workers. "You're being paid, aren't you? Stop whining about food. If you can't handle it, maybe you're not cut out for the job," he would sneer, showing no concern for their well-being. As the days dragged on, the workers grew weaker, but they couldn't afford to stop. They knew that Old Wang was the kind of man who wouldn't hesitate to withhold their pay if the house wasn't completed. Then came the day to install the roof beam, one of the most critical steps in the construction. According to tradition, on this day, the homeowner was supposed to prepare a big feast with 8 dishes and 8 bowls of soup for the workers, as well as give a red envelope to the head carpenter. The workers were hopeful that, at least for this important occasion, Old Wang would follow the tradition. Tang, trying to keep things polite, went to Old Wang's house that morning. "Old Wang, today is the day we install the roof beam. It's a significant part of the project, and we were wondering if you could..." Tang started to explain, referring to the feast and red envelope. Before he could finish, Old Wang's face turned dark with anger. "Feast? Red envelope? Who do you think you are, making demands of me? You're already getting paid. That's more than enough." Tang, holding back his frustration, replied, "Old Wang, it's not about the money. The workers are exhausted, and following the tradition would at least show some respect for their hard work." But Old Wang wasn't having it. "Respect? You work for me. You'll get your pay when the house is done. Until then, don't expect anything extra," he snapped. Seeing that Tang was starting to argue, Old Wang immediately called for his thugs, who arrived within minutes. These men had helped him control the local markets and were known for their brutal tactics. Without hesitation, they attacked Tang, hitting him in the head with stones until blood poured down his face. The other workers watched in fear, but none dared to interfere. Old Wang had made his point clear. He was in control, and no one could challenge him. Despite his injuries, Tang returned to work the next day. His head was bandaged, but his determination had hardened. He knew now that Old Wang had no respect for him or the workers, but he wasn't going to leave the job unfinished. There was something else on Tang's mind, something darker. As Tang climbed the ladder to install the final roof beam, he did so with a grim sense of purpose. Unknown to anyone, Tang had learned of an ancient carpenter's curse, a spell that could bring misfortune upon those who deserved it. As he hammered the last nails into the beam, he whispered quietly to himself, invoking the curse. 7 nails, each one representing a disaster that would soon befall Old Wang and his family. "Let this house be your undoing," Tang muttered under his breath, his eyes cold and focused as he finished the job. A month after the house was completed, Old Wang's family moved in. At first, everything seemed normal, but then strange things started to happen. Old Wang's elderly mother suddenly fell ill and died. His wife, unable to bear the constant misfortune, left him. His daughter's engagement to a local official was abruptly called off, causing further embarrassment for the family. Old Wang was confused and angry, but he dismissed these events as bad luck. However, as the nights went on, Old Wang began to hear strange noises in the house, especially from the roof. At first, it was just faint whispers, but soon it grew louder, like someone or something was crying. Old Wang's nerves started to fray. He couldn't sleep, and he was constantly on edge. One evening, while walking home, lost in his thoughts, Old Wang was hit by a speeding car and died instantly. His once powerful presence in the village was gone in an instant. After Old Wang's death, his family quickly sold the cursed house. The new owner, a businessman from the city, planned to renovate the property. But when the workers began to dismantle the roof, they found something shocking. 7 large iron nails driven into the main beam of the house. The nails were twisted and unnatural, unlike any they had seen before. Rumors spread quickly through the village. "Those nails, they're cursed," an old carpenter whispered. "This house was doomed from the start." The new owner, terrified by the rumors, decided to tear the entire house down and rebuild from scratch. Once the house was demolished, the strange occurrences stopped. But the village never forgot the story of Old Wang's cursed mansion. Tang, meanwhile, carried on with his life. He never spoke of the curse he had placed, but the villagers began to look at him differently. Some whispered that Tang had been the cause of Old Wang's downfall, but no one dared confront him. As the years went by, the legend of Old Wang's cursed house became a part of the village's dark history, and Tang's name was forever linked to the mysterious and terrible events that followed the construction of that house.